Sunday, May 26th, 6:30 a.m. Mountain Time, 2019. Guys, in this video, I want to talk about the recent very large 8.0 magnitude earthquake that struck in Peru near metal mines. An observation pointed out here at Bloomberg.com, which is a good observation because what I want to point out also that occurred during this very rare moment, we don't normally see 8.0 earthquakes on planet Earth. They do happen, but they're very, very rare, very, very few and far between. Much like something else that occurred during this very large earthquake, there was a passage of a binary NEO, a mile-wide NEO, that basically has a moon. And during its close approach, or shortly thereafter, we saw this very large earthquake not far from the equator of planet Earth. This earthquake's energy was felt by humans over 600 miles away below the equator and above the equator of planet Earth. So it's interesting that they point out that this earthquake occurred near metal mines. And if you're like me and you believe in the electric universe and everything being electric, look at this NEO as a relay, and I'll explain why here in just a minute. But a double asteroid approaching Earth, this is an article dated May 23rd, one of the biggest space rocks will make its close approach to Earth on May 25th. Classified as a potentially hazardous object, this asteroid is expected to fly by our planet at a speed of 21.5 kilometers per second. That's somewhere in the neighborhood of 50,000 miles per hour. Observers will have a great opportunity to see an oblate-shaped object with a little companion orbiting around it. There's two of them traveling together in a tandem. According to NASA's JPL 1999, KW4 is around a mile-wide object, and the asteroid and its moon are going to visit the Earth's vicinity this Saturday at 7:05 p.m. Eastern Time. And right after it made its close approach was when the large earthquake occurred. All right, so you can see this thing from the northern hemisphere starting tonight, and not only tonight but tomorrow night as well. But again, I want to go back to the electric universe theory and electric Earth, everything electric. I mean, we're all electric beings, you know what I'm saying, in some degree. But if we have a very large NEO passing the Earth, that's for its size, very, very rare. Granted, it wasn't that close, okay? I get that. But it was close enough to be recognized. It was never a problem for the Earth. But let me show you something here on a instrument, a software that I use that is planetary, all right? And this is where we are currently at with regard to all of the planets, the sun, and the solar system. Here's the Earth, here's Jupiter, Saturn, and here's Pluto. All binaries in their own right, okay? We've got a binary that actually came up from below the ecliptic, and as it came up above the ecliptic, making its close approach to the Earth, shortly thereafter, we have a very large 8.0 earthquake. The NEO came right up this way, okay? And it's going to go back around this way. So that's why we'll be able to see it from the northern hemisphere tonight, tomorrow night, and quite possibly the next night. But as it came up and went past the Earth, we had a very large earthquake, okay? I'm just saying it's highly coincidental, right? You've got Jupiter over here, you've got Saturn over here. We live in an electric solar system, let's say. Look at this NEO, this mile-wide NEO with a orbiting moon, or it's a tandem NEO system. As it came up past the Earth, look at it as a relay, all right? We don't know the exact composition of this NEO that's over a mile wide, and let's just say it was a very unique composition of some sort of metal, all right? We have a large earthquake near metal mines on planet Earth, near the equator, the bulge of planet Earth as this thing went past the Earth. So let's say somehow or another it completed a circuit. Look at it as a relay from the energy connection between Saturn and Jupiter. Something maybe was triggered as this thing went by. I'm just trying to think outside the box, that's all, because it's highly coincidental that we have an 8.0 as a very rare mile-wide NEO, not only an NEO, but a binary NEO is passing planet Earth. So that's all. It's just something to consider. I'm trying to think outside the box. The energy from this very large earthquake that occurred just below the equator, right here at Lagunas, right around the 5-degree south latitude, was felt 630 miles away by humans up here in Colombia. So that would be north of the equator. If we measure mile-wise from the epicenter to Colombia, it's 650 miles, basically, this was felt. From what I understand, or what I've heard so far, there's been structural damage to quite a few buildings and homes, but the good news is nobody was seriously injured. So that's what we like to hear. If we have to have big earthquakes, which we're going to have them from time to time, 8.0s are very rare. But when we do have them, if they're out in remote areas away from people, that's a great thing. We take a closer look at the area right near the epicenter of the 8.0 magnitude earthquake. You can see a small community right in here. There's roads, there's houses, there's small structures, what looks like a soccer field, maybe two. There are people that live here that no doubt felt the energy of this earthquake, and the structural damage was probably most prominent right here in this area. However, this earthquake was felt by humans, as we reported earlier, 650 miles away above the equator, way up in Colombia. If we'll measure that once again, you can see in a linear line as the crow flies, that's 642 miles away. So there was structural damage between here and Colombia as buildings actually moved, from what I'm understanding, way up in Colombia. So very strong earthquake, very lucky that it was positioned out in a rural area. But once again, a very large 8.0 earthquake, 68 miles deep, which is fairly deep for an earthquake, but when you're dealing with 8.0 energy, it's going to trip seismos all around the Earth. And if you go here to the website, MrMBB333.com, click on the seismographs tab, you will see them all jet black currently. And these are seismos that are positioned all around the entire world, and they're all jet black because of the energy from the very powerful 8.0 earthquake. Every single one of these are jet black from top to bottom. And that's because they felt the earthquake. If we look at the seismograph at Oroville Dam, look at this here. Oroville Dam seismo. All of this energy you see right here at Oroville Dam, it too felt the earthquake way down in Peru below the equator. This is above the equator. If you go back to the website, you click on the Yellowstone tab here. What I have configured are all the seismographs around the supervolcano. Click on one of them. Look at the energy it felt. That's the 8.0 below the equator down in Peru. So this energy traveled all around the entire Earth. And again, it was felt by people above the equator, 650 miles away. But again, it happened near metal mines in Peru. So to me, it's no coincidence that we had a very close approach of a large NEO over a mile wide. Not only an NEO, but a binary NEO that kind of went between the Earth and Jupiter. And as it made its close approach to the Earth, within a few hours, we have a very large 8.0 earthquake. To me, it looks like it created some sort of a circuit. It acted as a relay from the energy transfer from Jupiter, quite possibly Saturn, to the Earth, and it possibly completed a circuit or interfered with the circuit, and the side effect could have been an 8.0 earthquake at metal mines or near metal mines in Peru. Thanks for watching, guys. It's just a theory. I'm just trying to think outside the box here. Again, thanks for watching. Have a super day and be safe out there.